So what does YouTube's removal of Dr. Erickson's viral video really mean? My name is Patrick Rooney with oldschoolus.com. Dr. Dan Erickson and his business partner, Dr. Artin Massihi, own 6 urgent cares, and they operate in Bakersfield, California. They put out an amazing video. I'll try to find some kind of a link to it now because YouTube has removed it. This was approximately a week ago. And this video has been hit like crazy by people because the information that they give is authoritative. These guys work in the trenches. They're talking about what they've dealt with COVID. They've tested, I believe, over 6,000 people for COVID, and really zeroed in on what we have to do to overcome this. And it's not sheltering ourselves in place indefinitely. That ain't going to cut it anymore. What we need to do is start building up our immune systems. And they said it quite well in their video. But that's really the key to this, because no matter when you let people out, you let them out now, you let them out later, at some point they have to face the boogeyman. And young people with good immune systems need to be out there. And that's how our immune systems grow, as the doctor said. Our immune system gets stronger and stronger by facing things. Our systems are going to be weaker if we just continue to shelter the way we are. I'm not talking about the elderly here, people in serious conditions. I'm talking about the young and relatively healthy. Dr. Erickson and Dr. Massihi were on Laura Ingram's show, and they talked about what was on their video. And the next thing we know, YouTube removed their video. So the question is why? Why did YouTube remove their video? Well, it's pretty simple. Well, it's not that simple. I'm going to talk to you about why in kind of increasing reasons here that will make more and more sense, I think, as we talk about it. First of all, YouTube has a policy that's openly stated saying that if you go against the guidelines from the World Health Organization, the really credible World Health Organization that we found out was such wonderful people, if you go against their guidelines, you can be removed. I started thinking about that. Now, why? Knowing what we know about the World Health Organization, in my mind, they've been completely discredited. I think anybody with any common sense would say the World Health Organization has been discredited. Now, this guy named Tedros, his first name, I'm not going to say his whole name because I can't pronounce it, I'll mess it up. But this guy who runs the World Health Organization, you've seen him on TV. He's spoken out against Trump. Now, he spoke out against Trump's travel ban. We've heard that, right? So Trump's travel ban saved untold amount of lives. This guy spoke out against the ban. This is a World Health Organization. And also when Trump called it the China virus, he didn't like that. Don't talk about where this virus came from. This is not right. And then you heard the press start talking about racism, which is because we talked about the virus coming from China, which it did. Taiwan, who that China is going against Taiwan, trying to keep their independence down, and people are protesting Hong Kong, and they're being squelched by China. Well, Taiwan had warned the World Health Organization that coronavirus was spread human-to-human contact. Now, China said, no, that's not the case, and it was a complete lie that resulted in the deaths of millions. Okay, the World Health Organization also excluded Taiwan when they had an emergency COVID meeting back in January. They excluded Taiwan, didn't even let them in on the meeting, obviously because of implied or given threats from China. We don't want Taiwan involved in this meeting. Now, what I haven't told you so far is something that I'm sure people know out there. I wasn't really aware of it, didn't really think about it. If I heard it, it didn't stay with me. China, when this Tedros character, who's running the World Health Organization now, when he was running for election, he was running against a guy from the UK, China backed Tedros, however you say his name. China backed this guy. He's China's guy. He is the reason, more than likely, this is the reason this guy even got in as head of the World Health Organization. So he's in China's pocket right there. He's China's man. Let me move to the next page here. This gets a little deeper here. So I looked at an article when I started looking at this stuff to see, it just didn't make sense to me. Like why would YouTube just take the World Health Organization guidelines, and anyone who goes against them, they knock out their videos. Knowing what we know about the World Health Organization and how discredited they've been, but that still doesn't matter for some reason to YouTube, and by extension their parent company Google, right? I saw a 9/10/18 article. It says Google's handing the future of the internet to China. Now that COVID is here, now that YouTube is acting the way it is, the World Health Organization, they're still backing the World Health Organization. It makes me think about this stuff even more and more. Google is quietly collaborating with China on a new censoring search engine called Dragonfly. So this is something they were working on with China quietly. Google was. Remember, Google is over YouTube. Then 7/15/19, another article I saw. Peter Thiel accuses Google of treason. Now, Peter Thiel is a guy who was, as I recall, a co-founder of PayPal. Very smart guy in Silicon Valley, but he's also a Trump supporter. And he accused Google of treason. He said that Google was helping the Chinese military. And of course, Google was strongly supporting, as many of these other tech companies were, and are in this election cycle. They were supporting Hillary blatantly in 2016. And again, that's still going on, of course, now, probably more than ever. So Thiel accuses Google of treason for what they were doing, working with China. Remember, they're working on a search engine, or they were working on a search engine in China that was going to be censoring. Now, how are they going to be censoring? I'm going to get to that in a moment. 9/21/18, The Intercept reported that a prototype was developed on an app called Mao Tai. That's interesting because China had a brutal dictator named Chairman Mao, right, back a few decades. Now, this prototype, this app, would allow China to record geographical position of the person who's on the app, right? They're on like a smartphone, and China will know exactly where they are, the Chinese Communist Party. That's pretty frightening. Now, on top of that, the app would also give the internet history of the person to China. You've heard about the social scoring. You know, you get a certain score that gives you a particular social score to know whether you're credible or not on the internet, and to know whether you should be listened to or not listened to, possibly even what's going to happen to you. You know, some of the people who've spoken out about coronavirus in China, they've disappeared, or maybe put another way, they've been disappeared is more than likely the scenario. So this app that Google was working with China on, called Mao Tai, as a prototype, and they were developing it, was going to allow China to more easily spy on their citizens. Google was happily working with China, quietly and happily, I'm sure, working with China on such an app and on such a search engine, the search engine called Dragonfly. So as of December 2018, The Intercept reported that Dragonfly project was effectively shut down after some type of clash with Google. So 2/14/20 story, it said that Facebook, Amazon, Google, YouTube, Twitter, and others met with the World Health Organization. They met at the request of the World Health Organization. They had a meeting. I believe it was up in Silicon Valley. And what was the purpose of the meeting? To stop coronavirus misinformation. These tech people, some of them, and I have to give them credit for it, Apple was one of the companies, refused to meet with them. But these other companies, including Google and YouTube, did meet with them. So I saw a clip from Tucker Carlson's show on Fox, and I have to say, I really love Tucker Carlson. And Tucker was talking about the fact that YouTube removed the video from Dr. Erickson, that great video from Dr. Erickson. And he started to talk about a little bit why they may have done it. And he brought up a general sense of why. I'm giving you some more specifics in this video. And the general sense of why is because the Chinese government, Communist Party government, are totalitarians, clearly. There are other totalitarians around the world. If you look at it, the left in general has been lovers of totalitarianism. This is going back a long time. You think about how people like Bernie Sanders praise Castro's regime, and you see how Barack Obama was down meeting with, what's his name, Chavez, Venezuela, communist government, and they want to open up trade with communist countries and all this kind of thing. Clearly, there's been a partnership from the left with these communist governments, and really nothing has changed. I think there's a couple things going on. One, of course, is Donald Trump is getting in the way of the business practices and the ability to make money and gain power for some of these tech companies. I think that is clear, that they don't like Trump because he's basically messed up their party. But the other part of this is that these people, as Tucker said, are totalitarians in thinking. And the scary thing about this is we have totalitarians now in the United States with Google, YouTube, and the rest of these companies. They think a certain way, they believe certain things together, and they love to gather power. You've seen that in a lot of the state governors who are grabbing power. Most of them Democrat. I think all of them are Democrats that are grabbing power. But there's this totalitarianism that is, they're sympathetic with each other. You know, I've talked about the details to this, but if you really get down to the nut of it, these people are the same. They work together to squelch truth. They love, I hate to say this, but they love death. They're death lovers. I mean, why would you squelch so many things that have been squelched so far during this coronavirus, COVID-19 situation? I mean, they squelched the hydroxychloroquine, right, cocktail with azithromycin and the zinc sulfate. I mean, they squelch other things because maybe because Trump said they're okay, but not just because Trump said they're okay. They're squelching. They've been squelching, and the head of YouTube even said it. I mean, they're things that people can use to build their immune system so that their immune system helps them overcome COVID. There's so much information out now about the falsity of the numbers, the fact that COVID is really not really much different as far as deaths than a bad flu season. And that's another thing that Dr. Erickson's video showed. If we know ways that will help people's own immune systems help cure them, and we know that going out there and starting to build their immune system, it just makes sense is the way to go. Why are these ways being squelched? And I think it's pretty clear that it's being done to hurt President Trump. I don't think there's any argument with sensible people right now. And it's scary to think that on our own companies that are our own U.S. based companies are collaborating with the communist Chinese, and essentially, spiritually and mindset essentially are the same. They're not much different than the Chinese or the WHO. These people are all the same. And if given the opportunity, you see, given this crisis here, they are making use of this crisis in a maximal way to try to shut people down, to make sure people stay home, don't build their immune systems, aren't able to go out there and make a living, while these people, rich people, are allowed to keep making they have their money, or they're allowed to keep working in certain ways. Look at Dr. Fauci. I'm sure he makes a lot of money and he's allowed to keep working. But it really brings up bigger questions here than just, it's not about just making money or something. It's really about these people consolidating their power and using this crisis as a way to squelch the people who are dissenting. It's funny that dissent used to be considered cool. Question authority, right? You'd see bumper stickers from people on the left and it would say, question authority. Well, now that they've become the authority, they're no longer willing to question authority, are they? So what it shows me is that they never really were serious about questioning authority. They were only questioning the authority of people they disagreed with when they weren't in power in order to take down that authority, to cut down that tree. It's the same thing that they're doing in the press conferences with President Trump. They are not there to ask questions of, they're not questioning authority. They'll say they are, but they're really not. They are there to look for any way they can to knock this guy down. I hope you see that at this point. Please share this video, get the word out. There's a lot of good information out there I'm seeing on the internet these days. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to keep it there. We will see if I'll even be able to put this video up on YouTube, or I may have to look for an alternative. We will see what happens. But we're hanging, as they said in Jerry Maguire, you're hanging by a very thin thread, my friend. America and freedom in the West, let's just say the freedom movement worldwide, people that want to live freely, we are hanging by a thread right now. We are having to use the systems of the oppressor to even get our information out right now, for the most part. Thankfully, we have some other systems that are being developed, but we've got to develop them quickly, because at any given moment, as you can see, you can have the plug pulled on what you're doing, and freedom can go dark. So we're in a very precarious situation right now in America today, and we need God's help, and we need to work together to make sure that freedom stays alive. So thank you for being with me. Go to oldschoolus.com, my website. You can also help me out to get this message out, and to allow me to do my work and continue doing what I'm doing, helping people through natural health, building up their immune systems, and helping us to be free and to go out and do and work, to be successful, to live full lives. All of that is under attack right now. All of that is under attack, as you can see. There's no hyperbole here. So to help me get my message out, which is your message as well, please help me on subscribestar.com. Subscribestar.com. Just put in Patrick Rooney to find my page. And if you can, some people can't do it, but if you can, you have the means, please support me with a small donation per month. It would really mean everything. It would allow me, the more support I get, the more and more I can work in doing what I'm doing and getting the truth out there and helping you to be healthy, helping your children, and even the next generation at this point to be healthy and happy and productive. Thanks so much for being with me today, and I will see you next time.